Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday. The first semi-final of Euro 2024 is a little bit later on today. England in action tomorrow, of course. Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice and Aaron Ramsdale. We've got William Saliba tonight for France and David Raya for Spain, the last remaining Arsenal players involved in the Euros. Of course, so we'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show. I'm going to talk about Martin Odegaard a lot. I was part of an interview with Martin last week that went out yesterday. Look over what he had to say to us when he sat down in Marbella and spoke to a selection of us on Zoom for the interview that he did. So we'll look at that. We'll discuss Mika Biereth. His transfer to Sturm Graz has now been confirmed, and we've got lots of questions and comments from you guys as well, reacting to the Dan Bentley links that we were talking about yesterday, Mario Cozier, Dewberry as well. So plenty to discuss. And we'll start with Martin Odegaard, shall we? Who, as I said, a few of us had the opportunity to sit down with last week via Zoom. It was a bit of a flashback to COVID time, sitting down talking to an Arsenal player or Arsenal manager via Zoom. He was out in Marbella, of course, and a few of us had the chance to talk to him about how last season ended, what's been going on this summer. He spoke about quite a fair chunk of stuff. So we'll cover some of what he had to say. I thought this was interesting when he was talking about the disappointment of missing out on last season, the emotion that he clearly showed on the pitch when he was speaking to the fans after the game following the 2-1 win against Everton, which of course didn't count for anything as Manchester City won and claimed the title. He spoke about that and how it could be a driving force for next season. He said every setback can make you stronger. Just for us to be here talking about last season as a big disappointment shows how far we've come and what we're all about now. We want to win something, and that just shows the mentality that we have now. We are not satisfied if we don't win. That's why we're going to keep pushing each other every day to make sure we do that. We just want to get better and better. I asked him after that, I said, look, I mean, you broke so many records last season, Arsenal, set so many new standards that the club had just quite frankly never set before in the Premier League era. How do you go about improving that? How do you take a next step forward when you've smashed so many records the season before and still not won the league? And he said, look, I think it's easy to find the motivation because we all want to win. We all want the same thing, and we're all pushing each other so hard every day. The staff, the players, the supporters, everyone is pushing in the same direction. We have the big goal. It is just about doing those small things every day to become a little bit better. And in the end, I'm sure it is going to be rewarded with a trophy. So he's very confident that a trophy is coming. I have to admit, I share his confidence. I think a trophy is just around the corner for Arsenal, a big trophy as well. He spoke about those small things a lot, Martin Odegaard, and a few other answers as well. He always talked about the small margins. Mikel Arteta did this as well when he did an interview again from Marbella. I think he was talking to, was it CBS or no, it was ESPN, wasn't it? Last week, and he was talking about the small margins. He said, look, if you look at if you're really analytical about it and you look at the stats from last season, we should have won the league, but we didn't. So it's all about finding out how do we go that bit extra, and it's all about small margins. I think Mikel worked so hard last season on small margins, and Arsenal closed loads of those little small margins on Manchester City, but not quite enough. I think it's quite interesting that both him and Martin Odegaard spoke about it an awful lot in the two interviews that they have done. He also spoke, Odegaard, about Arsenal's sort of transfer plans, or he was asked about Arsenal's transfer plans, specifically about the need to potentially bring in a new striker and all the talk about new arrivals coming. Of course, Ricardo Calafiori at the moment continues to dominate the headlines when it comes to potential new arrivings this summer. And Martin, as you would expect, sort of sat on the fence a little bit. It was a very sort of political type response you would expect from Arsenal's captain. He says, look, I'm really happy with the squad we have. We have unbelievable quality, and I think we showed what we are capable of, especially towards the last part of last season, where how well we played. We made history and all of those things. So I'm not too worried about that. New signings, he means. That is down to Mikel and Edu and the club to sort those things. I am really happy with the squad. It is a joy to be part of this group. So yeah, I mean, it's a very PR type response for that. I mean, I'm sure Martin Odegaard's sitting down at the training camp in Marbella and sort of sitting down at home when he thinks about next season. He wants new signings. There's no doubt about that. He is happy with the squad. I'm sure he is. Everyone is, because Arsenal have got a fantastic squad right now that is very, very strong, but clearly does need to be strengthened, and it will be strengthened, no doubt about that. Whether it is Calafiori who comes in first, we'll have to wait and see. Still nothing's done with that. Club's trying to agree a fee, haven't done it yet. And until they do, then he's not going to be an Arsenal player. So we'll wait and see if that actually happens or not. But it was not just going to be about Calafiori. There are going to be other new arrivals. But the key thing, if you're going to chase down someone like Man City, as Martin says there, we made history and all those things. And they did. Arsenal set so many new standards last season. They broke so many records in terms of what they achieved. But they still didn't win the league. And that is what they all want. As he said in that previous answer, the club, the staff, the supporters, everyone's pushing in the same way because everyone wants to finally win this league title. And Arsenal's so close now. But they're going to need to strengthen. There's no doubt about that. So as much as Martin can sit there and he can say, I'm really happy with the squad, we've got an unbelievable squad, it is obviously very, very important that you continue to strengthen season on season to try and close that gap on Manchester City. And Arsenal will. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that they will. And that's why they're trying to sign Calafiori. And then that's why they would also look to strengthen in the attacking areas come the start of the season. But there were lots of other things covered in the interview with Martin Odegaard. And I'll drop the link to it. I put it out on Goal. It went out yesterday, but I'll drop the link into the full interview, which you can see down below. So go into the description and click on the link if you want to read the full Martin Odegaard interview. Okay, moving on to Mika Biereth. This was announced yesterday that his move to Sturm Graz has now been confirmed. £4 million. Sell-on clause, of course, included in that for Arsenal as well. Edu was talking about it in the press release that went out, or the official story that went out on Arsenal.com. This is a quote. If you look on YouTube, you can see it on the screen. If you're not, this is what he had to say. He said, "We are so proud of the progress Mika has made since joining us. This new opportunity with Sturm Graz is great for Mika, and it's a good example of what a strong loan development plan produces. Mika will be playing Champions League football when the season starts again, which he deserves due to his mentality and performances in recent seasons." Now, that quote sparked quite a bit of debate I saw on social media yesterday, especially that line of it's a good example of what strong loan development plan produces. Because lots of people don't think Arsenal have received enough money for Mika Biereth. I'm kind of split. I don't, I thought that comment, I can't remember the name of the guy who sent it in. Apologies if you're watching, but from the Austrian Arsenal fan who got in touch and sort of provided a little bit of context on the £4 million that Sturm Graz have paid. Said it's one of the biggest transfers in Austrian football. Certainly one not involving RB Salzburg. So it's big money in terms of what Sturm Graz have put down for Mika. When you're in England and you look at £4 million, obviously it doesn't seem like that much, but Arsenal will protect themselves with that sell-on clause. So if he does go on to be a success and he ends up moving, then they should, you would think hopefully maybe even double that price tag. But he has never played for Arsenal before in terms of making a senior appearance. So was £4 million enough? Frankly, I think maybe £6 million would have been more of a realistic figure for someone like Biereth. But it was interesting, the sort of debate that it sparked. And Arsenal's loan development plan is not just about getting players into the first team. Absolutely not. No football club's loan development plan is about that. It's about making money as well. And Arsenal obviously feel quite happy with the money that they've made for Mika in this instance, and they point to the development he's had while being out on loan as a good example of it working well. And I'm sure a lot of you might have different opinions on that. So let me know what you think about it. Is this an example of what a strong loan development plan produces in terms of Arsenal and Mika Biereth, or would you expect a little bit more? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, big night of football, big 2 nights of football, of course, starting tonight. Really intrigued by this game. It's such a clash of styles and clash of form almost. You've had Spain who have just sparkled their whole way through the tournament. Yes, they had to grind it out a little bit against Germany in the last round after Germany got that late equaliser and Spain and made a few substitutions, but they found a way to win, and they've no doubt been the stars of this tournament so far with the football that they've played. The goals that they've scored, the attacking talent they have on display. And then they're up against France, who have yet to score a goal from open play in the tournament, which is a remarkable statistic because they've obviously scored from set pieces and had a couple of own goals as well. Still not a single player in this France squad who has an assist to his name in this tournament, which is mad. So it's a real clash of styles and clash of forms. But for all the sort of negative stuff you can say about France, they've also not conceded a goal from open play. The only goal I think they've conceded was a penalty to Poland, which Robin Lewandowski scored at the second attempt, of course. And a huge part of that is this man on screen, of course, William Saliba, who's just been one of the stars of the tournament. I mean, he absolutely has to be in the team of the tournament when it comes to centre-backs. I'd be stunned if he isn't. It's a huge night for him. This is his first major tournament for France. It seems remarkable that going into this tournament, there was a lot of talk about whether he was even going to play for France. And it was right on the cusp of the tournament that he managed to force his way past Canate, wasn't it, to become a regular starter in Didier Deschamps' side, which is just mad to me. But he has been a star. He's been a revelation. He's been so good. And it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on against his Spain side. You would think France are certainly going to be tested far more than they have been defensively so far in this tournament. So it's going to be a much sterner test for William Saliba, with the two wingers coming in the way they do for Spain. And you've got Morata. Whatever your feelings about Morata, he does cause centre-backs problems with his movement and his ability to run in behind at times. So it's going to be interesting to see how William Saliba gets on. I think Spain should win this game. They're the better team. They've played the better football of the two. But France just know how to win tournament football at knockout stages. They've shown it time and time before under Didier Deschamps. They've just got players who can find a way to win. And it would not surprise me. In fact, I've got a sneaky feeling for France in this game. I don't know what. As I said, Spain will probably win if they play as well as they have done. But it wouldn't surprise me if France get through. There's just something in the back of my head that just thinks Spain are going to struggle so much against William Saliba and France's defence, which is very, very impressive. And when you've got players like France having attack, they are going to click into gear at some point. Mbappe is going to burst onto the scene at some point. Dembele, who has shown flashes of his quality so far in this tournament, is going to find a way through and score a stunning goal at some point. And it just would not surprise me if France somehow sort of stifle this game a little bit, frustrate Spain, and then just find a way to win. I'm really interested to see it in terms of how this game goes. Great to get your predictions in the comments below. And then, of course, we've got the huge game tomorrow for England against the Netherlands. Also, in the comments below, please do, if you're interested, if you're an England fan watching this like me, or if you're a Netherlands fan watching it over from the Netherlands, let me know what your thoughts are ahead of the game. Who should be starting? What formation should Southgate or Koeman play? And we'll discuss it in tomorrow's show. Really looking forward to that. But if you're watching from France or you're watching from Spain, good luck tonight, whoever you're supporting. Fingers crossed you do well. Fingers crossed, especially that William Saliba gets through it injury-free, whatever happens. Okay, moving on to some of your reaction to what we spoke about yesterday, the Dan Bentley links. David Ornstein, of course, the Athletic reporting Arsenal have expressed an interest and have been talking to Wolves about Dan Bentley, but the two clubs are apart at the moment when it comes to evaluation for the goalkeeper. Lots of reaction to it in the comments yesterday. Here is a selection of them. Paul says, but Bentley will be 31 this week and has played 5 Premier League games in his life. He can't be a number 2 at a Champions League, Premier League chasing club. Surely. Is this link a wind-up? Interesting point. And that's why I was kind of, and I do get what you're saying, Paul, I have to say. I do think Bentley's quite a good goalkeeper. But I get what you're saying. And that's why I was sort of mulling over the idea yesterday, whether this would be more of a number 3 type choice goalkeeper. I'm just not sure at the moment. Brickhead says, Bentley seems like smart business on the surface. Seems like the coaches are banking on him being a number 2 if Ramsdale leaves. Of course, Naki Kanna, Arsenal's goalkeeping coach, worked with Dan Bentley at Brentford before he made the move to Wolves. Southwest Guna says, hi, Charles, fantastic. Never to be missed daily content. Thank you very much. Say, on the subject of backup goalkeepers, in the event that Aaron leaves in this window, with no disrespect to Dan Bentley, but in my opinion, Wojciech Szczesny is a far better option as a backup to David Raya than Bentley in the event that Raya picks up an injury that keeps him out for more than a couple of games. What are your thoughts on this subject? Cheers, Steve. What are my thoughts on it? Yeah, I mean, look, I've said before, I think Szczesny would have been my pick when it comes to a backup goalkeeper. I agree. Look, Bentley, I think, is a decent keeper. What I've seen from him for Wolves, and, even when he was back at Southend, I always liked him back then. He's always impressed me when I've seen him. But as Paul said at the top there, is he a number 2 for a Champions League / Premier League chasing club? Because if Raya does go out for, 5-6 games, picks up a serious injury, is Bentley of the necessary standard to come in and sort of just maintain that sort of level that Raya would bring? And can he deal with the big, huge games? I think that's almost more because I think Bentley's a decent keeper. He's shown that at times, but mentally, is he there? Has he got it in him to be able to do what he has to do at a very top level club? Does he have the experience to fall back on? Someone like Szczesny does have the experience to fall back on if he does have to get thrust into those big Champions League or Premier League games. So that would be my worry about Dan Bentley coming in. If he does come in indeed as the number 2, would he have the experience and the know-how of how to deal with those really huge games if something happened to David Raya? Senki3 says, such a waste of resources and energies over the goalkeeping position when there was nothing wrong with Ramsdale. All this distraction is needless thanks to Arteta. I just don't agree with that. There was nothing majorly wrong with Ramsdale, but David Raya's a better goalkeeper than Aaron Ramsdale. He is. I know it's an opinion, but it's an opinion based on kind of fact from what we see week in, week out, and how Arsenal have improved as a team. Yes, because of the centre-backs are very, very impressive. But I feel those centre-backs look a lot more confident now with David Raya behind them than they did with Ramsdale. Ramsdale's an excellent goalkeeper. I love Aaron Ramsdale, and I hope he has a fantastic career somewhere else. But I do feel like David Raya's just a better goalkeeper than him. And so when you say there's nothing wrong with Ramsdale, if there's a chance to improve in any position in the squad, you take it. That's how you're going to become a better team. So I don't think the distraction is needless at all. And I don't think there really is any distraction. Raya has just been Arsenal's number 1 for pretty much a full season now, and he's going to continue to be Arsenal's number 1. So I'm not sure it's really a distraction. And I think Arsenal have improved as a result of what Mikel Arteta has done when it comes to the goalkeeping situation. AFC Cape Town says, Charles, where are we getting this third choice keeper idea from? We don't need 3. The third is always an academy prospect. Whoever is replacing Hein as the first choice under 21s keeper will step up that role. See, that's not the case really, because Hein wasn't Arsenal's first choice under 21s goalkeeper. He didn't really play for the under 21s. I think he made like 2 appearances last season. The third choice goalkeeper is the third choice first team goalkeeper. It's different from who your under 21s goalkeeper is. So you do need 3 goalkeepers. It's not just a case of 2 and the under 21s. It's 3 senior keepers, and then you've got your own under 21s keeper as well, to be honest. So that's why I think there's Arsenal do need a third choice. Okay, here's one from Octavian Cesar 80. Says, what a hypocrite you are, Charles. Good for Arsenal that Brazil goes out, as you're an Arsenal first with the 2 Gabriels coming home, but you follow that up with saying you hope England beats Holland. Be consistent and cheer for Holland. So our 3 players at England get to go home. Arsenal first, remember. Nah, sorry. I'm not a hypocrite. And I said it yesterday that I was being totally selfish when I was talking about the fact that from an Arsenal point of view, it's good that the Brazilians are coming home. Obviously, if you're a Brazilian Arsenal fan, it's not great at all because you want to see Brazil do it. But I'm an England fan as well, and I want England to win the Euros. So I'm not a hypocrite. I'm just an England fan, and as well as an Arsenal fan, and I want England to win the Euros. So, and I admitted yesterday that it was purely selfish of me to be happy that the Brazilians are coming home, because I don't support Brazil when I'm watching international football. I support England, and I would fully admit, and I would hope that Brazilian Arsenal fans now would be sitting there hoping that England lose tomorrow to Holland, because they would want England players to come home. So it's not a case of being a hypocrite. It's just a case of supporting your country when it comes to international tournaments. So that's what I was getting at yesterday. And just a couple of ones here before we wrap things up today, both on Kozia Dewberry, of course, who completed his move to Brighton yesterday. A couple of different questions from that. Daniel says, do we get any fee for Mario going to Brighton? Arsenal will get some money, yeah, but it's obviously he went out of contract, but they are going to get some sort of compensation for a development fee, which you do for players who leave at his age at the end of their contracts. The 2 clubs will try to decide on a fee, and if they can't, then it will go to tribunal, and the tribunal will set the fee. Arsenal can't appeal. If it goes to that tribunal and the tribunal sets the fee, whatever they decide, that's what Arsenal will get from Brighton. So they will get some money for him. There's certain things you have to do to qualify to get compensation, like you have to offer them a contract, which Arsenal did, and then everyone sort of takes into account how long they've been at the club, what Arsenal valued him at, and stuff like that. And if they had turned any bids down for him, things like that, it all comes into the equation, and then a compensation figure is agreed. So they will get some money for him, yes, but I'm not sure what it will be just yet. And Nick says, hi Charles, is there a sell-on clause on Kozia Dewberry deal like there was for Amari Hutchinson? No, there's not, because Amari Hutchinson was sold to Chelsea, still had a year left on his contract. Kozia Dewberry wasn't sold to Brighton, he was out of contract, so Arsenal wouldn't be able to get any sort of sell-on fee included in that, because there was no agreement reached with Brighton. Right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. As always, I do appreciate it. Let me know anything you've agreed with, disagreed with in this video. Let me know in the comments below. And as I said today, Give me your thoughts for England's game against the Netherlands tomorrow, whether you're from England or you're from Netherlands, and we'll pull them together and get them included in tomorrow's show as well. Until then, have a fantastic day, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.